dogs out, like, ooh, let the dogs out. Ooh, ooh.
Off the Hook, airing on offthehooksports.com. Your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. Always available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Always available wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
It is a Friday, kids. Hello.
Hello.
Tennessee LSU. Good morning, Amanda LaFratta. How are you?
I am doing well, Dave. How are you doing?
Well, ready for the weekend, ready to get rolling, and waiting to see if you'll notice something different about me.
You have glasses.
For the first time in about 25 years, wearing glasses. What do you think?
They look good.
They do?
Yeah.
I like them. They are, and we'll have a bigger announcement coming, but Campbell Cunningham Taylor and Hahn Vision Center will be joining us as a sponsor, advertiser, and we're looking forward to that. So you have to wear these glasses. So the long-term goal is I'm not going to wear glasses, but these do look good. I'm thinking about maybe getting them once I have my LASIK, getting them put in maybe just clear, because I do think they make me look rather distinguished. And people do that. People wear see-through glasses. So I'm considering that. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but they'll probably turn into readers is what they'll do. So, I'll be like the little old lady trying to read the obituaries. So, but they'll probably turn into readers. But Campbell Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, we're looking forward to them. And I have eye surgery here in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to have LASIK. But you have to wear these glasses for like 3 days before your pre-op so that they can do the test for your actual operation. So I picked up the glasses yesterday. So I'll go ahead and tell you, you have to go to Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn when it comes to any of your vision needs. Brittany says just have the blue light option added to them. It's so funny, Brittany. I was thinking about that yesterday. And Brittany, I'm just going to go ahead and charge you right now since you're on board. You're better at finding this day in sports history than me, and you're awesome. So
you're on the payroll.
Yes, you're on the. Everybody else is. Yeah, I was the guy who never wanted any employees, and I've got like a dozen now. So fortunately, they're all great and awesome. So Brittany, go ahead and give us today's this day in sports history, I should say. All right, so Amanda, I think Tennessee plays LSU tomorrow, right? And it's if you're watching this live, it is approximately 27 and a half hours away. It's right around the corner, and Tennessee is still favored by 2.5 points. There's a lot of intrigue in this game. I think from a national perspective, I think that A&M and Alabama probably, if you looked at the schedule, would have been the game that most people were most interested in. I think with the way that Tennessee has played, this is probably the premier game, even though it's going to be noon Eastern. Amanda, what do you think? If you're an SEC fan that doesn't have a rooting interest or a college football fan, which fan are you most interested in? If you're Bob from Nebraska, are you most interested in Tennessee, LSU, Alabama, A&M?
So I would be, let's see, if I didn't have a college, like if I wasn't a fan of any team, I'd be insane. But if I were just looking at the games, I would be more interested in this Tennessee LSU game. We know that Alabama, Bryce Young's hurt, and also that Texas A&M starting quarterback, I'm pretty sure, is out for the season. So we saw what Texas A&M was able to do with the quarterback they had previously, and it was unwell. They were unwell. Let's just say unwell. But Tennessee and LSU has so much potential because you really don't know. You know these teams are good, but you don't know how good they are. And I think this is a great test for both of them, even though I think Tennessee's going to wipe the floor. But if they do wipe the floor, then you're talking about a top 5 team.
Yep. You're talking about a top 5 team, and Brittany already has our This Day in Sports History.
Ooh,
Okay, we'll go all out of order because Brittany's just cool. I like Brittany a lot. And crazy saying that I should pay her in T-shirts and dog CBD treats. I will, or barbecue. Brittany, you just tell me which you would prefer, and we'll take care of you. Let's go ahead and do This Day in Sports History.
This Day in Sports History. Putting things in perspective, exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
You're so old. When you were a kid, rainbows were black and white.
And Amanda LaFratta.
New kids on the block just called. They wanted you as a backup dancer.
All right, here we go. This Day in Sports History. Brittany says we don't have a dog. I'll hook you up with some barbecue.
They have a cat?
Do you have a cat? Works for cats. Brittany saying 16 years ago today, as Amanda's light flickers. Brittany saying 16 years ago today, Tennessee trailed entering the fourth quarter against Georgia, but the Vols scored 27 points in the fourth quarter to knock off the number 10 Bulldogs 51-33. That was way back
in Athens,
2006.
I was at that game.
Yeah, that was a wild one. That was the one where I can't even remember, Brittany. Maybe you can. It was an unknown defensive back. He snagged the ball right. It was a block punt, I believe, and he snagged the ball right before it went out of bounds, which resulted in a touchdown. Otherwise, would have been a touchback. I believe I'm right on that, or it would have been a safety. So I can't remember. He was on the front of Sports Illustrated. That was towards the end of getting your Sports Illustrated was like a thing. You know, who was on the front was a big deal. And I always used to flip to the back and read Rick Riley. So This Day in Sports History, great job, Amanda. Let me know if you got a cat or you like to barbecue.
That's Brittany.
What did I say?
You called her Amanda.
All right, Brittany. Brittany.
My cousin's name is Brittany. And so we always got and we're the same age. So people would always say like, hey, Brittany. And I'm like, I'm Amanda. Like our parents, our family. My late great grandmother had several grandchildren, and she used to go, Jason, Nick, John, Dave, whoever the bleep you are, get over here. I still remember being in school, and they said I slipped a curse word, and I was in my mom's class, and this was like 5th grade, and they said, where did you learn to curse like that? And I said, my grandmother. And my mom was horrified. I got the lecture to no lecture because we drove to and from the school because she taught there. So I went to that school and I got the lecture. You don't ever talk about your grandmother cursing, even though she does all the time. So This Day in Sports History is brought to you by The Mattress Place. The Mattress Place, tell them Off the Hook Sports sent you. We only endorse people that we believe in. And we believe they have mattresses and zero gimmicks for 30 to 70% off each and every day. Any mattress you might need, and they're closer to downtown than you think. The Mattress Place, tell them Off the Hook Sports sent you. I would greatly appreciate that. So the Down and Dirty at 30 is brought to you by Honeybee Coffee. Amanda, why is Honeybee Coffee so good? It's top 5% of beans in the world. You always feel good knowing that you're supporting a veteran as well. But at the end of the day, it's just good coffee. And I don't think my dog needs any more coffee because she's running around here like a crazy person. So there we are.
Yes, check out Honeybee Coffee locations in Knoxville, but certainly order online. All you have to do is go to offthehooksports.com and you'll see the ads. Click on those and you can order online, have your coffee delivered. And it's a different level. I was at an office yesterday and I was struggling a little bit with energy, and I had some of their Keurig coffee and it was like bland, and I had the coffee headache again. I have been to Honeybee now 3 times and had 3 cups of coffee and felt fantastic. No coffee headache, which is the reason I didn't drink coffee, because it's that clean, that good of beans. It's fantastic. So the Down and Dirty at 30. I want to get to something real quick that I think that a lot of you are missing out there. Tennessee is not an uber talented team right now. Okay, so there are all kinds of discussions on our YouTube channel when Chris Landry talked about Will Rogers being a more talented passer than Hendon Hooker. And I'm not going to belabor this, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. But I think you need to understand where Chris is coming from in a lot of different ways. Chris is telling you that Tennessee's talent level is not of the ilk yet of a lot of other teams. It shouldn't be. We're just we're 18 months away from having 20 months away from having Jeremy Pruitt as the head coach. It takes time. Look at their list now, the Tennessee commitments that they have. And their recruiting class wasn't great last year. It was good, not great, but you got to be top 5 to compete. Amanda we were talking about who we were going to break down on Chris Landry's Chalk Talk. And Amanda told me, they have 11 4-stars and a 5-star. And I was like, that sounds right, but can you double check it? Because I'm in the car. And yes, I mean, that was the case. And Tennessee is going to be much more talented. So for those of you that get upset with Chris Landry, and then I'm going to move on, realize he is looking at it from a completely unbiased scout's perspective. Realize that this is a guy that you should listen to because Nick Saban listens to him. He speaks to him often. He coached for Bill Belichick. Health reasons are the reason he's not in coaching right now, but I'm not going to get into that. And he loves breaking down all kinds of film. So I can see how that would be more exciting than a week-to-week sort of thing. So, again, I brought him to the table by design because I thought it would give great insight. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that in the future, not so distant future, he's going to start to talk about Tennessee being more talented, unless 11 of these 4-star guys and Nico bust, which is not going to happen. Just a little insight into recruiting. 50% of the guys end up being really good. 50% don't. You can look at just about any class. So I don't know who it's going to be, but Jordan Matthews was on TV last night. But Tennessee is going to be absolutely fine when it comes to talent, because even the likes of Derek Dooley could recruit at a fairly high level. Now, I don't count Butch because he would call recruiting analysts and have them add stars after he got a commitment from people. He was very manipulative, but
That's shocking.
It's stunning. I've used the word psychopath. You think that's too strong, but I wanted to address that because sociopath. I wanted to address that because Tennessee enjoy this right now. Even if Tennessee gets hammered by Alabama and Georgia, if Tennessee gets hammered by Alabama and Georgia, if they lose to LSU tomorrow, if they end up with 9 wins, enjoy that, because prospects are going to look at that and say that's a step in the right direction.
We're already seeing that.
Yes. So enjoy what it is for now, but because Tennessee is 4-0, don't say to yourself, "Oh wow, well they are definitely going to win the SEC East this year and maybe challenge Alabama in Atlanta." They're not there yet, but that is fine, Amanda. That's part of rebuilding the program. Be happy right now, and I know a lot of people. They had a response to us talking about even the potential. And the whole point of the conversation was there's no move that right now you would even think about Josh Heupel making that would be beneficial for his career. Be happy you're not Oklahoma, because I can tell you right now that they have hired a guy that had no head coaching experience in Brent Venables. Think of hiring John Chavis as a head coach. And he has relied on talent, and I know they have an up-tempo offense in place, but it ain't working so far, and they're going to be looking for a new head coach. They are on the precipice of what Tennessee just went through. So be happy you're not that. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to win the SEC East this year, but be happy with that. There, I'm done with
that. No, you're fine. They're like, I'm going to harp on Oklahoma a little bit, but they are about to lose to Texas. They play Texas this weekend, and they are probably going to lose to Texas. Quinn Ewers is back. They're more than likely going to lose to Texas, and then we're going to see all hell break loose. I'm just in Oklahoma. It's going to be bad because then they're going to be 3-3.
Yeah, but again, like we said, there's an issue, I believe, between Josh Heupel and the administration. So I don't think Oklahoma is going to be committed to Brent Venables for 2 or 3 years. The contracts now lock them in. So again, you're in a great place. You are essentially magna cum laude as a junior in college, and you've got a bright future ahead of you. But it's going to take a year or two. The fact that Tennessee right now is a topic of national conversation for realsies is phenomenal. In Tennessee,
And not for mustard bottles.
and not for mustard bottles, and not for being a sad story. Enjoy that, appreciate that, and you will compete for championships at some point. I think the scariest person in Josh Heupel and Tennessee's future is Kirby Smart, because I think Nick Saban will probably step down within 4 or 5 years, you would think. And that's when I think Tennessee will be around the competitive level to win a championship. So Kirby Smart's the scary guy. But other than that, what in the future as a Tennessee fan, and we all want things to happen today. There are a lot of things that I want to happen today or tomorrow or next week. Well, it's not going to be like that. And with Tennessee, it's not going to be like that. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy Tennessee. That also doesn't mean you shouldn't expect Tennessee to go to LSU and win, because I believe if they play their game and they make the adjustments with a bye week and make some improvements, particularly in the secondary, I believe that Tennessee should go to LSU and win. If they go make mistakes like they made against Florida and Pitt, they probably won't. So Dee Williams is a guy that's gotten an awful lot of chatter, Amanda. He was one of the top recruited prospects in the nation out of junior college. And could he have a monstrous impact? We'll see. But I do think it was very insightful, more so than he usually is, when Josh Heupel said he'll be a big part of the game plan. So he's been sidelined with an injury. But that with Warren Burrell out of the defensive backfield, they need a guy that is like Dee Williams, and you would expect that guy to be able to step in and contribute. And Josh Heupel said as much yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go back a little bit. I disagree with some of the things that you said. I think Tennessee might be, I know, shocker. I'm like Butch Jones, shocking people left and right. I think that Tennessee might be there now. I know the talent level isn't where it should be, but Georgia is falling flat on its face. And I'll have to see them. I don't even know if they played this weekend. I think they do, but no, they do. They play Auburn. Sorry, just kidding. I'll have to see them against Auburn, but if they played like they've been playing, like against Missouri, and it's going to be bad. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, because they have all the talent in the world and apparently are just not using it correctly. So that to me is more of a coaching thing rather than it's, the players and the talent level. At least with Tennessee, you have a coach. You have a coach that knows how to coach and knows how to get his players to play for him, because look at where you are. I would have never thought Tennessee would be in this position, 5 years ago. I would have been like, nope, this is a dumpster fire. It's all burning. There's, it's 10 years from being anything close to a Georgia. The one team I think you have to worry about going forward is Florida and their coach, Aaron Hernandez. That, to me, is
Aaron Hernandez.
He looks just like him. Okay,
He does.
I'm sorry.
He does look like Aaron.
He does.
Hernandez. I hope better things befall him in his future.
I do as well. But that's the one team I think that you would have to worry about is Billy Napier and seeing how that plays out. Going forward, I'm excited to see what Dee Williams can do, because I think that this Tennessee team is just this much away from being very, very competitive in the SEC East. And like I said before, I think that they will beat Georgia. And I know people think I'm crazy. I don't care. I said that before the season started.
You did. I will vouch for you on that.
I did. So I think that we could see them in the SEC championship game. I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility. I think they'll beat LSU. And I would like to see what Dee Williams can do, to see if he can be that factor in the defense that really takes them to the next level, because that's what they're missing. Not missing offensive players.
And feel free to jump here on the message board. Crazy ask, how much of a factor should we expect Dee Williams to be in this game? Well, I thought Josh Heupel, who holds things extremely close to the vest, saying that he will be a significant factor is huge. I'm not saying he's going to run out there and start, but he wouldn't say that if he didn't think that he was going to be a huge factor. And so let's look at the schedule. I don't know if this is today's tough question. We like to do that organically. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But which of these programs are in better shape for the next 3 years than Tennessee? So let's look at the schedule. Mizzou at Florida. I would say Tennessee's in better position for the next 3 years than both of those programs. Would you stop me when you disagree?
Okay.
Arkansas at Mississippi State. I think Tennessee's in better position for both of those teams. That'll be a noon start. This is an interesting way to break down the schedule, which I've never done before, but I kind of like.
I think Leach leaves Mississippi State.
Yeah, and he could end up just getting
Wisconsin.
Well, that would actually be a really good fit.
I would be happy.
Yeah, because for a lot of reasons, because I think he would get more out of less, and Wisconsin's they're going to have a recruiting challenge. So you either would go with the developmental top players like the Kirk LaFrentz at Iowa, which is kind of boring, or you would go with Mike Leach, who is able to, like Josh Heupel, overcome talent deficiencies. Arkansas at Mississippi State. I would rather be Tennessee in either of those positions. And I'm saying this for anybody here that's followed my career. Some of you are too young because I'm old. I'm pretty unbiased. I'll tell you what I think. Auburn at Georgia. I'm not going to say that Tennessee is in better shape in the next 3 years. And Amanda's picked Georgia to win. She may disagree, but I think
Tennessee to win.
You like Tennessee to win, but do you like Tennessee in the next 3 years? Over
Georgia?
Yeah.
Based on what I'm seeing right now, yes.
Okay. I mean, they could be. People think they're automatically Alabama Part 2, but they may not be. They may not be. They may be just like that Herschel Walker team that won a championship, was supposed to win the next year and didn't, and then suddenly it's 30-some years before they win another. Ole Miss at Vanderbilt. Listen, Lane Kiffin is already trying to get out of Oxford. I can promise you that you would rather be Tennessee than either of those programs for a variety of reasons. South Carolina at Kentucky. I would rather be. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said yikes.
I mean, Kentucky might beat Tennessee this year. That Mark Stoops has built a solid program, but somebody eventually is going to come calling. Now, he turned down the Florida State job, but somebody is going to pull him away. And I believe that Tennessee has better facilities. So long term, I would rather, next 3 years, I'd rather be Tennessee than South Carolina, Kentucky. A&M and Alabama, I think Jimbo Fisher's obviously in the hot seat. I think now that Texas is in the SEC, they're going to revert back to second fiddle in that state. And Alabama really depends on Nick Saban. I mean, as long as he's there, you would rather be Alabama. But, I mean, of all those programs that I just listed, Tennessee is in as good a shape for the next 3 years as anybody, with the exception of, in my mind, not Amanda's, Georgia. And I think we would both agree on Alabama as long as Nick Saban's there. But again, when he decides to hang it up, who knows the next coach they'll hire? They hired a bunch of bad coaches before Nick Saban. So
Dabo.
I don't know if that move. I don't know if he makes that move.
He makes that move.
I mean, I know he played there and I know all that, but I look at what he's got going on at Clemson. I don't know. Maybe he's more apt to make it now, but he's built something there at Clemson that they're able to compete in terms of resources with other teams. And I remember covering a camp at Clemson. I think it was the first camp that I ever covered that wasn't at Tennessee way back in the 2000s. And I thought that I had no idea that facilities were that much different. So he's built facilities now, and he has the resources to recruit like he wants to. So I don't know if you can phrase something around with today's tough question on that or not, Amanda, or you want to go the direction of the game this weekend. That would be probably the easiest way out. Do you like Tennessee big, barely? Do you think Tennessee loses? I will leave that up to you. But you kind of putting you on the spot because you have all the time it takes me to play this element until you decide. By the way, I love my glasses, but they're a little difficult to wear with headphones.
They went away.
They pinch my ears with headphones. So, all right, I love my glasses, but here we go.
We do our research. Have you done your research?
We're working like heck.
Today's tough question. What's the real debate?
You sipping my Soupe Guadalupe?
Exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker and Amanda LaFratta.
You drinking my sake, Kimosabi?
Oh my God.
Brittany's saying, I don't see us dropping one to UK at home this year. Brittany, I'm with you. I'll roll with that. I'll take it a step further. I think over the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to see Tennessee's talent level be much better. And while I got a lot of respect for a team that's more ground and pound in this day and age, and I love what Mark Stoops has done there, I don't think Kentucky is competitive with Tennessee year in and year out in the next 2 or 3 years once Tennessee gets some talent in place. I just think there's going to be a significant difference there. All right, Amanda, what are we going today's tough question, which today is brought to you by Pedigo of Chattanooga. Pedigo is locally owned, and Pedigo is where you'll be treated like family. The region's foremost electric bike experts. They put their hearts into helping you find the perfect electric bike and get the most out of it for many years to come. And with Pedigo, that brand, you know that you can get it serviced right there. If you buy one online, then you're going to really struggle to have any sort of service on it. They are fantastic. So, Amanda, what about today's tough question? What are we doing here?
We're going to go with, we could cop out. We could take the easy way out and say, how many, points do you think Tennessee will win by? Or do you think LSU? Blah, 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 blah. But I'm saying, which SEC team? I think we're going to go with what you were talking about, because I think that is a very good question to pose. So which SEC teams do you think is in better shape than Tennessee in the next 4 or 5 years?
You'll say brighter future?
You can do that.
Yeah. I'm interested to, it's like, if you had to pick one, which program has a brighter future? Trevor asking, how do you like those headphones? I love them. I like over-the-ear headphones. I have 3 pairs of Skull Candies. I don't like being able to hear other stuff. These are the nicest ones. The ones at the gym are cheaper. Free plug. They're like $39 at Best Buy if you like over-the-ear headphones, if you want the cheap ones. And they're almost as good as the really good ones. So that's just me. All right. So who has the brighter future? Who are we going to pick? What team?
Florida, Georgia, LSU, because Brian Kelly's there, and they're.
And how about you?
No, because I don't want to have. I want to have an option for them to say none, because Tennessee should be an option.
How about if you had to pick one?
Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that.
You figure it out. You're better at that. Caleb Calhoun will join us next. What type of impact will Dee Williams have? It could be quite monstrous. Big Orange Philly is a great place to watch the game, and you can watch it this weekend in a family environment with a lot of fun. We're talking about karaoke, billiards, and more. Big Orange Phillies is your home in North Knoxville, right there on Maynardville Pike for football. Back in 2 minutes with Caleb Calhoun. What impact does Dee Williams have?
Gary Viles here. I want to personally invite you to North Knoxville's newest sports bar and restaurant. It's Big Orange Phillies, located in Black Oak Center. And yes, folks, it's happening in Halls. Big Orange Phillies offers family-friendly environment with homemade meals and the best deli-style subs around. Billiards, darts, jukebox, shuffleboard, and cornhole, and a full bar. We also offer valet parking on weekends and during special events. We even have a covered back patio. It's happening at Big Orange Phillies. We want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
This is Al's Nest Barbecue Supply, so come on in and see all the different rubs and sauces we have, plus a complete line of Green Mountain grills. Don't be overwhelmed. We have plenty of help so you can produce the best barbecue and amaze your family and friends. Barbecue is America's food. We'll do what we can to bring you all the best products. We're Al's Nest Barbecue, where Chattanooga goes to grill.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassey Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassey, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassey's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassey Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
Welcome back.
What was that?
I don't know. Working up some new jams. Spencer said just watch a video of that media guy you have on all the time.
Media guy.
Yeah, are you talking about Chris Landry? That's what we were talking about, Spencer. That's what we're talking about, but I'm not going to get caught up on that. So, Trevor's saying that's my case for Tennessee giving Georgia the most. Sorry, let me go back. To me, Kirby has yet to truly be challenged year in and year out to get to Atlanta. I know I'm biased, but I think Tennessee can get an offense that can do what Bama did to UGA last year in the SEC championship game. Yeah, I mean, I think that's quite possible. I think you're looking at a couple of years in the making now. Amanda said that she likes Tennessee to beat Georgia this year. I'm not willing to go there, but do I think ultimately that from a schematic standpoint, Josh Heupel has an advantage? Absolutely. Absolutely. I do believe. Now, the recruiting thing that's a whole nother ball of wax. So what do we settle on for today's tough question as we bring in the uber talented Caleb Calhoun now?
So we settled on today's tough question: which SEC team has a brighter future than Tennessee? And the 4 options are Florida, Georgia, LSU, and none. I'll take Tennessee.
Okay, I went with Georgia because I think Kirby Smart's going to have talent there. So even though I believe Josh Heupel's a better schematic coach, unless they're able to pull the big trio to go, and Caleb would know this, going back in history, was Jamal Lewis, Deion Grant, and Cozy Coleman. When they pulled those 3 out in the early 90s out of the Atlanta area, that was like, boom. That was a game changer. Then you started getting the Fred Whites of the world. You started getting other guys. You also had a guy there named Jim Donnan who looked like he had trouble buttoning his shirt in the morning. So I don't – that's a totally different thing than Kirby Smart. So what about that? Of those 3 teams, who would you say locked down has a brighter future as of October the 7th, 2022, and we're looking at the next 3 years? Caleb, who would you say out of those 3?
I'm sorry. I'm super high on Brian Kelly. I've said since January when he was hired, Brian Kelly is the first coach with any semblance of competence at LSU since Nick Saban was there. And that is, I can't stress enough, that's the easiest place to win in America. Like, you don't need a brain cell to win a national championship at LSU. And I think Brian Kelly is a pretty good offensive mind. And it's just, you don't even need a plane to recruit at LSU. You need gas money. You need a car and gas money. And you don't really have to drive an hour either way, and you can build a national championship team. It is I can't stress how easy it is down there.
No, I agree. And the kids, like I've said before, are more loyal there than any other state. Because
Sorry, what'd you say, Amanda?
Before the NIL changes everything.
I agree that the NIL is the one factor we don't know about yet. And that, again, if Brian Kelly had taken this job 10 years ago, Nick Saban would not have his dynasty right now. I would just say that, even though I think Saban's a better coach, but I can't stress how easy LSU was to recruit. Louisiana is the best football state in the country. Like, there's really not a close second if you go per capita. It's top 4. I think it's number 4 in just numbers games, but the states ahead of it are Florida, Ohio, and California. Those are 3 of the 5 biggest states in the country population-wise. And then here's little old Louisiana, that's number 4. It's I don't know why, but the football there is insanely good. And like Dave said, they don't leave the state. NIL might change that a little bit, but none of us really can predict how NIL is going to go in the future because there's so many factors in play. So based on the factors we know exist, because, I mean, yes, LSU is not going to compete with a Tennessee or Texas in NIL, but they might have enough NIL to keep NIL cash on hand to keep Louisiana kids in state.
I agree with Spencer, who said that was a fantastic point by Amanda, and it was. The NIL, we don't know what that's going to be in 3 or 4 years. We do know that it sounds so weird to say, but the reason I would disagree with you on the most talented state, it would be Florida, in my opinion. It would actually, you could take South Florida in and of itself, but you have so much competition between Florida State, Florida, Miami. So I'm with you that Louisiana is the easiest place to win in terms of talent. But you know what sounds weird, a lot of those corporate dollars that are being spent in Knoxville to pay the Jacob Warrens of the world, who I heard on radio when I was driving around one day, and who is a part of our program. Those corporate dollars, anybody in Knoxville knows that you want to be associated with UT football. What's the difference in Louisiana? You might spend those corporate marketing dollars with who? You might spend them with the New Orleans Saints. That might be where some of your dollars go. So Tennessee is an exclusive college town, whereas the state of Louisiana is not. So great point by Amanda on the NIL dollars. Caleb's appearance brought to you in part by Craft Treats. Man, Craft Treats has the chill pills, and woo, they will take care of your pet who might be suffering from arthritis or digestive issues or any sort of social anxiety, anything like that. You go with the chill pills, and the chill pills are available at crafttreats.com. And don't forget, you save 20% at checkout with the exclusive code Off the Hook. The exclusive code Off the Hook. Spencer saying, love when you have my brother Jacob on the show. No, we're not related. I thought for a second, can't blame it. See, when I read on the fly sometimes these message words, I thought you were serious, Spencer. By the way, I love when we have clips from my brother, Hendon Hooker, on the show. We don't look a lot alike, but
He's your cousin.
yeah,
not
cousin.
your brother.
Cousin, that's what it was.
No one would believe that you guys are brothers. Cousins, yes.
Nobody's believing we're cousins.
I mean, given Hooker's experience and how long he's played college football, they might be similar in age because Hooker, what is he now? 45?
He's 22.
No, he's 24.
Oh, I thought he was 22.
Yeah, we're both going to be applying for AARP at the same time. Caleb Dee Williams, what can he bring to the table, you think? He was the 3rd highest rated cornerback. You wrote a column on offthehooksports.com, and I thought it was very insightful that Josh Heupel was willing to say he would play a big part. You usually don't say that unless they're going to play a big part.
Yeah, this seems like somewhat of a Hail Mary, if I'm going to be honest.
Well, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So I don't think anybody knows how it's going to work. The fact is, I think we talked on Monday, Warren Burrell is out for the season. Warren Burrell is no Alontae Taylor. We all saw how much he struggles guarding the number 1 receiver. But then we saw Kamal Hadden guarding the number 1 receiver, and he was significantly worse. And so I don't think anybody expects Dee Williams to offset what Alontae Taylor brought last year, but I think there's just a hope that he can somewhat mitigate just how bad things were against Florida 2 weeks ago. But again, we don't know. What we do know is that nobody else can. So why not go with Dee Williams at that point?
Yeah, and he might be the most talented defensive back, that at least cornerback, that Tennessee has, if you base it off of his ranking. This goes back to the talent level and what Josh Heupel's program is going to look like in 2 or 3 years. They need at least one lockdown corner like an Alontae Taylor. They need to find that guy. Maybe it's Jordan Matthews who played last night. I don't know, but those guys, fortunately, like a running back, Caleb, can step in and be a factor pretty early. It's a position that relies on talent almost as much as it relies on knowing a system.
I totally agree. Particularly that funny enough, some of the other cornerback spots in the nickel and the safety relies a little more on understanding of the scheme, but number 1 cornerback is pretty simple. You got to stay with the best receiver on the other team and somehow find a way to hang with them. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. I really thought Christian Charles would have been that because of his speed, but he just hasn't shown it. And I don't know what's going on with Brandon Turnage. So, it looks like Dee Williams is their last hope with Warren Burrell out. And, if the only thing you could maybe say now is Jaden Daniels is still mobile. We talked about this on Monday, though. Tennessee is going to have a lot more chances to bring pressure than they did against Florida 2 weeks ago, just because Jaden Daniels is more of an east-west runner. And they're going to have to rely on pressure a lot more throughout the year because and hopefully for them, when they start to face other quarterbacks, it won't be as big of a deal. But, I don't think – say hypothetically they get the break and don't face Bryce Young next week. Alabama's got a mobile quarterback as a backup quarterback. Is Will Levis the last pocket passer they're going to face this year in the SEC?
I don't know what UT Martin's got rolling out, but I think so.
Yeah, so that's going to be difficult because you're going to have to focus on containment the rest of the year, which is going to mean you can't bring pressure the way you want to. And that puts a lot of pressure on the cornerbacks who, like we're saying, just aren't that good.
So in this Tennessee LSU matchup, we've seen, I can't, Boutte, we've seen him not be very successful this season. And I don't think it's because he doesn't lack the talent. It's because his quarterback just straight up won't throw to him. So how do you see this playing out? Do you think that Boutte will actually get some recognition against this Tennessee secondary that's pretty depleted?
I mean, your goal, yeah, I will say, even though I say the ultimate goal is winning the game, I think Tennessee's defense owes it to Cedric Tillman to not let Kayshon Boutte touch the ball, because I thought it was an absolute travesty that Boutte was first-team All-SEC over Tillman in the offseason. It was the most disrespectful thing the all-SEC media voters did. And I don't know what they were smoking when they put him over Tillman.
I put Tillman first, just FYI. I put Tillman at number 1. Yeah, I got to vote.
Yeah, we did our votes together, and we weren't smoking anything because we were packed in the car headed back from Atlanta.
Well, I could not believe Boutte was put over Tillman. And I think that it is owed to I do. I know there's a little – it's kind of like that Michael Jordan, I took that personally moment. I think Tennessee's defense owes it to Cedric Tillman to take that personally and not let him touch the ball at all on Saturday. Similar to I go back to the 98 national championship game. I think one of the greatest moments was Peter Warrick got all the talk leading up to that game. And Peerless Price was the star receiver in that game with 199 yards receiving, and Dwayne Goodrich held Peter Warrick to 1 catch for 4 yards. And I think Tennessee owes Cedric Tillman, whether or not Tillman plays, Tennessee owes him one of those performances.
Are you writing that today? Because if you're not, I'm taking that topic.
You can take it, yeah.
Yeah, I just wrote it down over here as one feeds to another. A couple of questions. Dee Williams, what were his stars coming out of high school? I just Googled that, Spencer, and it didn't have anybody, which tells it didn't have any stars. Looks like he wasn't even evaluated, which tells me one of two things. A, that there were some sort of issues where they knew that he wasn't going to be a four-year college prospect anyway, or he was just a late bloomer who really budded in his after high school in junior college, believed in himself and turned himself into a top prospect. So I can tell you he was number 3 coming out of junior college. I'm having trouble finding an eval of him coming out of high school. And then we had another question that I thought this might come up at some point, so I'll go ahead and throw that out there. How are NI deals working, Dave? Incredible. Do you have to go through Spire or Smoky Mountain Club, or can you negotiate deals directly with the players? I'll go ahead and share that with you. So I reached out to Spire, and let's say Hendon Hooker was rather expensive. Let's just say Caleb and Amanda wouldn't be here right now. Hendon Hooker, and the show would consist of one 20-minute segment with Hendon Hooker. So I asked around UT. Now, they're not able to help you directly, but I asked around people that covered Tennessee. I was very fortunate in Cooper Mays, and then I knew his dad, Kevin Mays, excuse me. And Brian Mays is the guy I went to high school with. But Kevin Mays, who played offensive line for Tennessee, I knew that Cooper would be awesome. And I asked around, and I said, I want 3 things out of our NIL, out of anybody that I'm going to pay. And I met with Jacob, and I immediately was sold. I met with Jacob at a back in March, a restaurant that serves hibachi that I would not recommend going to, but I'm not going to throw them out there. And he had a representative with him, but I pretty much worked with him one-on-one. But the 3 things I asked around for were these 3. Can talk, will start. I didn't necessarily need the biggest star on the team, and won't get arrested. Those were the 3 things that I asked for. And I was thinking of that yesterday. We have been blessed with Cooper Mays, because I'm here to tell you right now, Cooper Mays and Jacob Warren, because I'm here to tell you right now, the way that, and I'm not knocking UT because everybody does it, but the way the press conferences are set up, Caleb, you can attest to this. They're the most mundane answers, not insightful whatsoever. And from both a print perspective on offthehooksports.com and a video perspective, which of course helps our YouTube numbers, it is money well spent, because Caleb, those press conferences are brutal. The players don't want to be there. I feel like the media doesn't want to be there. People start it with 2 questions because they know that they only have one opportunity in like a 7-minute window. Caleb, they're just brutal.
Yeah, and it's actually worse, funny enough, when you cover, like, when I was a local news reporter, when you cover, like, city official press conferences or things like that. And I'm sure it's bad for covering national politics, because it's like, how can you press somebody if you only get one question? It's impossible. And I think that it's just, I agree. I hate them. Again, half the time the coaches lie in the press conferences. And so there's that. We also were probably the most traumatized, Dave, because I did this working at the Beacon for a minute, and you did it just covering Tennessee. Covering Fulmer press conferences made you want to go to sleep. He was a broken record when you covered him. And I mean, that is the say a lot without saying anything. That's what they're coached to do. And I would have enjoyed covering a Spurrier press conference. I'm not going to lie. I think Spurrier would have been a heck of a lot of fun.
Well,
I want Mike Leach. That's who I want.
Good one. That's true too.
He's great.
And to give a little inside baseball, the way it used to work when I covered them is you could pull a player aside and have 2 or 3 minutes with them. And once they realized they trusted you, then you could ask unique questions and you could get better answers. These guys are 19 and 20-year-olds. Do you think they're comfortable standing in front of a bunch of 30 and 40-year-old men answering questions? I wouldn't be. I mean, it's just the whole concept of it is so uncomfortable. I don't know how you can fix it, other than I think we're very blessed that we've got Cooper Mays and Jacob Warren as part of the fold. So, Caleb, this game, I love the win one for Tillman, win one for the Tiller, however we want to say it, like win one for Gipper.
There's going to be a movie on this, guys, and the president is going to play
I'm already thinking in my head of how I can phrase that lead. But I think that there's a lot of motivation for this team. I will say this, though. I do think this team is probably a little bit overly confident. And I think if you're a Tennessee fan, you hope that bites them in Alabama, a game they probably should lose anyway, as opposed to a game like LSU, a game that the odds makers say they should win.
That is very true. And also, even though they probably will lose to Alabama, there's an opportunity for history next week if they win this game. I did some tracking just randomly, exhaustive Wikipedia searches, guys. But a few days ago, if Tennessee stays where they are, and if they beat LSU, in all likelihood, they'll at least move up one spot. And if Alabama stays number one, next week will be the highest combined ranking between Tennessee and Alabama in any game they've ever played each other. And that, yeah.
Ever?
Wow. Yeah, it's normally lopsided. You're right.
Yeah.
That's why.
It's like historically Tennessee and Alabama are one team is up, the other team is down, and yeah, ever. There have been a few top 10 matchups, but there haven't been this is like 1 versus 7 or 1 versus 8. So yeah, it'll be ever.
I think it'll be like 1 versus 5 by the time we get there.
It could. I mean, think about it. They did the SEC division split in 1992, and I mean, the assumption was the most common SEC championship game would be Tennessee and Alabama. That's never happened ever since the split in 92. And
wow.
So yeah, I think that Tennessee, game day might be back in town again. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about if you're Tennessee, because they might have a big audience watching them lose to Alabama next week.
Yeah, but I think schematically, more so than Georgia, that Tennessee has an opportunity to hang with Alabama for 2.5, 3 quarters. I think they can. I think eventually the talent will be the differentiating factor. But
yeah, they hung last year until the 4th.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a good matchup against them. So, what are some keys to the game, Caleb, that you'll be watching other than win one for the Tiller?
I think the biggest thing is.
Amanda thinks I'm so stupid the way she looks.
Everybody's going to talk about the key is what can the secondary do? I don't think that's a key. I think it's just a given and a wash that the same issues are going to be there. So the question is, how can they mitigate those? One, we've talked about gap integrity a lot of times, but in this situation, the edge rushers, Byron Young and Tyler Barron, need to find a way to maintain gap integrity and actually get a few sacks in this one. Jaden Daniels has been sacked 16 times this year. He's a couple of guys I know at LSU say it's more the play calling than Daniels, but I don't know. I've watched some film. He doesn't have good pocket presence at all.
No, and he doesn't throw the ball downfield. When's the last time? I can't remember if I talked to you or everybody else because it's Friday and it kind of just jumbles in your brain. When is the last time you've heard of a head coach saying this guy needs to force the ball down the field more? Usually it's the exact opposite. He needs to protect the ball more. But Brian Kelly said that this week. Yeah,
exactly, which is why Jaden Daniels' 0 interceptions is not the same as Hendon Hooker's 0 interceptions. They're nowhere near the same caliber in that regard because Hooker does take shots. Hooker's still smart with the ball. He still protects the ball. But Daniels, you're right, he takes no chances, has no pocket awareness. And the difference between him and Anthony Richardson is, one, Anthony Richardson was bigger. So you had to contain him up the middle because he was going to be a north-south runner. But two, no one debated that Richardson was at least aggressive. And I think that I agree. I think Jaden Daniels, I think your best chance is you need Byron Young and Tyler Barron to really get pressure on him. And then you need Jeremy Banks to be and Aaron Beasley to be able to be the ones to maintain, I guess, keep him contained. But you got to turn the edge rushers a little more loose. You also need, on the other side, I think a big matchup is the guy to watch is Brew McCoy. particularly with Tillman. Now, Brew McCoy, I think Ramel Keaton's a little bit too skinny, would I say? He's a little bit too light. I think he's only 190 pounds, 195 pounds. LSU's press man coverage, Brew McCoy is the guy that can make them pay for that. Because I don't think LSU can jam Brew McCoy at the line and get away with that. And so I think you're going to see a lot of opportunities for Brew McCoy to make a lot of plays on Saturday.
Interesting. Go ahead, Amanda.
I see Jalen Hyatt as being a factor in this game. That's just
I
me.
agree.
He's kind of like a sneaky, like you don't know he's there until he's there. He like sneaks up on, I feel like, defenders a lot, and he plays at a lot of different, like, you know, slant routes, stuff like that. He plays a lot of different things, and he's dangerous. That's how I feel. Brew McCoy's kind of big, so you see him coming. Jalen Hyatt's like, woo.
No, you're absolutely right, Amanda. As a matter of fact, Brew McCoy is more, I talked about him winning the one-on-one matchups, but you're right, Jalen Hyatt playing in the slot, you're not really going to be able to jam him at the line a lot. So you're going to have a lot of opportunities to find him in open space. And they went, I forget the Florida State receiver, but he was another slot guy, and LSU allowed him to go for over 102 touchdowns. And so I totally agree with you. I think Jalen Hyatt is going to, I think he's destined to have a huge game on Saturday.
He's going to be the guy to watch, definitely. I just wanted to, I was sharing a screen here with Dave because you talked about how excited Tennessee fans are. Yeah, you just have to click on it. There you go. How excited Tennessee fans are for this game and for this season. This is at the airport right now. And if you can't see it, if you're listening, there is just a massive amount of Tennessee fans getting ready to board the plane to go to LSU for this game. Just like a massive amount. So if you are wondering how excited some of the fans are, this is how excited the fans are. And the reason they're not sitting is because they're boarding the plane and they're in a giant line.
I thought they were really excited about Good Morning America.
Awful. Well, they're not excited about CNN because they don't show that in the airport anymore. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Boy, that Coda. Is that her name?
God bless.
Is that not
Coda?
the best thing in the world, just to get hammered on the air every morning?
No, she just drunk. Her and when it was Kathy Lee.
Is she not still?
No, it's somebody else.
All I know about Kathy Lee is the Kanye line. He needs
the way Kathy Lee needed Regis. That's the way y'all need Jesus. Yes.
Yes.
Well, okay,
Yes.
Caleb, bringing
Caleb's
it out.
got some rapping skills.
Yes, he does.
I listen to that album about once a week.
I did too.
It's
I
one
did
of my rotation, but it's such a great just sideways shot at Kathy Lee. You know, just to say you're nothing without Regis, which is true. But I love me some Regis.
Oh, God bless you.
Can we do more impressions? Okay, so let's take a look. Amanda, can you pull up the top 25? And then I've got some interesting NIL news that broke this morning. I want to address it really quick. And the top 25. So Caleb said they'll probably move up a spot. I want to look at who they're playing, who the teams ahead of Tennessee are playing, and how far they might move up. I mean, could this be a potentially top 5? I mean, there's always an upset Saturday, right?
Oh God.
Yeah, but I don't think I don't see any of the top 7 losing. I think I looked at it too.
Okay. So yeah, somebody, if you can pull that up. Okay. So
Yeah,
this is this NIL news that was broke this morning on ESPN is basically very little news. So when Alabama's Nick Saban and Texas A&M's Jimbo Fisher traded barbs over payments to college football players through name, image, and likeness, Saban called for transparency, and Fisher said his team was an open book. If you remember, Fisher said, quote, "I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide, and our program has nothing to hide." Be interesting if everyone would say that. It's Saban who accused Texas A&M of having bought every player during recruiting, advocated for transparency on May the 31st, saying, quote, "I'm all for players making as much as they can make. I also think we've got to have some uniform, transparent way to do that." So ESPN sought out to take the coaches and other universities up on the notion that NIL information should be more transparent, asking a sampling of 23 universities, 20 from Power 5 conferences. I don't know why they would have 3 outside of the Power 5, but asked them to release their NIL-related documents or data. Across the board, schools provided few to no records. In the case of Saban's Alabama, the university declined to release any information, and at A&M, the university said it would provide hundreds of records, but it still hasn't. Records that officials did release omitted financial terms. So they basically what omitted means is they black out the important stuff. So you get a big, and I've gotten these before, big pages of blacked out names and numbers, and you might as well not even have anything. So there is no transparency. And I appreciate ESPN for doing their due diligence on this, but that's what the NIL is. I mean, nobody here knows what I'm paying Jacob Warren or Cooper Mays, and I'm not going to tell you because it's a business. It's a business transaction, and nobody knows what Caleb or Amanda makes. Nobody knows what I make. You shouldn't have to. I mean,
yeah, no one asked like what endorsements NFL players get with MasterCard or State Farm, or I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is getting paid for those discount double check commercials. So, I mean,
no, that's some dude's business. I mean, I know they're just 18 and we think of them as amateur athletes or but they're men. 18, you're an adult. So I've got zero problem with Alabama not releasing it. Got zero problem with A&M not releasing it. And all that being said, Caleb, you and I both know that a lot of these are phone calls. This is a coach picking up the phone and calling whatever the Spire Group version in whatever school is and saying, it wouldn't be bad if you gave this guy a call. And is there records of that? It's not like a FOIA thing, a Freedom of Information Act. They're not able to go out and get records because there are not records of a lot of these transactions.
No, there's not. It's tricky. Which, Dave, you worked there. I mean, I always wonder that with phone records. How did the Knoxville News Sentinel get the phone records of Fulmer and his exchanges with the administration the year Johnny Majors was forced out? They got all of that.
Well, that was
FOIA.
When I worked at FOIA. So the editors there, I'll give them a lot of credit, are very diligent about doing that. So basically you get a big story handed to you that all you have to do is write. Okay. So because you're so busy covering football, you don't have time to think about. It's the same reason I give VolQuest credit for breaking the Heupel press conference. If you do your due diligence and you file a FOIA request, then you get that. They have to release that. In the specific instance you're talking about, Philip Fulmer, this is before cell phones, didn't realize that you could do that, and he just used the office phone, and he
That's
called
the most Fulmer story ever.
he called
Brilliant.
He called the president's office 87 times, I believe. Was it 13 days?
Yeah, over 13
like
days.
Johnny Majors was in the hospital. Called him like 87 times in 13 days. Hey, just checking in. I don't know how Coach is doing, but if in case something happens, I just want to let you know I'm available. But I'm not pushing for the job. I'll call you back in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have the top 25, but I can only fit 20 on my screen.
Okay, wait. Orange said Fulmer gonna Fulmer.
Jeez, that's the damn truth.
I had a player call me who did not get along with Philip Fulmer, a former player, when Philip Fulmer became the advisor to the athletic department.
Oh, to John Curry, yeah.
Yeah, and he called, and he knows after John Curry, right? So Fulmer was the advisor, and he said, "You watch by the end." This was a Tuesday. He said, "By the end of the week, he'll be the athletic director." And I had not even thought about it, and I thought to myself, "This guy still has an axe to grind. It's not going to happen." Sure enough, that Friday, he was named the athletic director. If you remember. So yeah, Fulmer loves UT.
Fulmer loves Fulmer.
Fulmer loves Fulmer just a little bit more.
But I mean, you got to kind of respect the savviness. That was a little bit savvy.
Yeah, it was a bad move on Tennessee's part to go with a former coach instead of a senior.
It was.
Yeah. Okay. So let's put the top 25 up there for those that are listening. Run it down, Amanda. So we're talking about we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Oh, Tennessee's football team isn't doing this, but but we're getting way ahead of ourselves. If Tennessee were to win, what would it mean for the potential matchup Tennessee-Alabama? So we're going to assume Alabama beats A&M in a revenge game with or without Bryce Young. But the rest of the top 25 is too small. I can't see it, Amanda. So I don't know.
I know it's some of our stuff is covering it, but one, you have Alabama against Texas A&M, and the Texas A&M starting quarterback's out, so there's that. And Bryce Young, I don't know that Texas A&M can really stop that many people. I mean, Arkansas made them look a lot better than I think they are, because Arkansas just made that many mistakes. So Texas A&M is not, I don't think they're very good. I gave them in like a top 5 ranking in the SEC, but only because of the way they squeaked out the wins that they've squeaked out. You have Georgia at number 2 playing Auburn. The way Georgia's playing, what?
They're not going to lose.
Well, the way Georgia's playing, I don't know. I mean, they played against Missouri and almost lost that game. So we'll see about that. Ohio State's playing Michigan State. That's not going to be a thing. Michigan's playing Indiana. Also not going to be a thing. Clemson's playing Boston College. I could see that being a thing, if at all. You have USC playing Washington State. I don't see that being anything. Oklahoma State 4-0 playing Texas Tech. I could see them being upset by Texas Tech. It's just me, just my call. Tennessee playing LSU. Ole Miss is playing Vanderbilt. If you don't take care of business, Ole Miss, you got problems. Penn State at... Wait, that doesn't make any sense. So CBS Sports has Penn State playing Michigan. Oh, that's the 15th. Okay, never mind. So Penn State has an off week.
Bye this week. Yeah.
Yes, Penn State's on a bye. Utah playing UCLA. That could also be an upset. Oregon playing Arizona. Not likely. Kentucky is going to beat South Carolina. We know that. NC State versus Florida State. And we can go on and on and on. But I think we only need to look at 8 and above.
Right.
So 8 and above, you could have Oklahoma State getting beat. You have Clemson getting beat. Possible that Michigan gets beat by Indiana, but I doubt that seriously.
No.
So as the top 3 goes, the only one I could see is if Georgia continues to play like Georgia's been playing. Auburn's a dumpster fire. We all know it. But if Georgia continues playing like they've been playing, where it looks like they have no idea what they're doing when they step on that field, then I could see Georgia losing to Auburn.
Ooh.
I got to say, if you're asking me to take a 7-game straight up money line parlay on those 7 teams, I'd do it. I'd bet on all 7 teams winning than any one of them losing.
Okay, let me position it a different way, because again, for those who just tuning in, we're talking about Tennessee and Alabama, the potential of the highest matchup in the history of the series if Tennessee wins. So if I made you say that you have to take the field of all the favorites, or that there will be one upset out of that group, what would you do?
Oh, yeah, I'm taking the field of all the favorites. That's what I meant. Yeah.
I'm taking the one upset.
I would take the one upset. I don't know. I have zero idea who it is, but it's just college football.
Oklahoma State, Texas Tech. Texas Tech. That would be my upset pick.
Oklahoma State. Okay. I just got burned by Oklahoma State. I was so certain they were overrated, and I'm like, Baylor's going to beat them. And then, Coach Gundy is a man. He's 55, and he
he is a man. He is a man. Not a child.
Does Harsin save his job if he wins tomorrow? Probably. I thought there were the 3 best bets out there. And Caleb, you like to gamble, and I don't. But before the season, I thought the 3 best over/under bets, and they say don't make those bets because you tie your money up. I get it. Was Tennessee at 7.5. I thought the over. I thought Alabama at 10.5. I take the over. And
that's an easy over.
I thought so too. I thought the Tennessee one was too. And then the other one was Auburn. I saw early at 6.5. And I was like, is that 6.5 that Harsin keeps his job, or that they win 6.5 games? I thought that was an easy under. The 3 of all of them that I thought were the strongest were those 3.
I changed my upset, by the way. I changed my upset.
Okay.
Number 5, USC will drop to Washington State. That's my upset.
Interesting.
They only lost to Oregon.
USC. That could be interesting.
Okay.
As far as the best of those, I actually agree with you, Dave. Those were probably the 3 best. I was a little hesitant on Tennessee because I put a lot of stock in FPI rankings. I guess I shouldn't. Yeah, that Alabama 10.5. Have they won fewer than 11 games like any time in the last decade?
10-2, I think 2019.
But is this just the regular season, or is it including bowl games?
Oh, that's true. I think that's
it was not. It was not including bowl games, but it could potentially include an SEC championship game for everybody.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So then, yes, I think 10-2 is the last. Well, I can't remember.
I don't think Auburn's going to help themselves with an SEC championship win, though.
No, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be able to pull that off. Auburn should have lost to. I mean, the crazy part is I thought Missouri was a dumpster fire. Missouri, but though was like 2 plays away from like being like the hottest team in the SEC right now. If the refs get that false start call right on that 4th down last week, because Georgia was moving before they snapped the ball on that 4th and 1, and if their kicker can actually make a dead center field goal, we're looking at a Missouri team that's 4-1 right now and just beat Auburn and Georgia.
That's insane. Caleb, keep up the great work. We'll follow it on offthehooksports.com, and you and I will chat after the game on Saturday. We'll be live post-game. Stick with me for 2 minutes, and you need to know something about Vols Automotive Group. It's about integrity. They want, they need, and they appreciate your business. And coming up next, Coach Lance. So we got some message board bingo. We're giving stuff away. Stay tuned.
Folks, Gary Viles here, Viles Automotive on Callahan Drive. I've been selling cars here in East Tennessee for 27 years. In that time, I've come to realize it's not about the car. It's about you, the customer. So I'm here to take care of you just like family. Good credit, bad credit, you name it, we can get you taken care of. If we don't have it, we can find it for you. We go across the country to get any vehicle that you want. And here at Viles Automotive, we don't believe in fake numbers. We just give you great deals. And as always, we want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassey Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassey, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassey's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassey Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
This is Steve Rain. I own the Midnight Oil and Michelin Tire Direct service station here in Ottawa. It's not a fancy place, never has been, but it's a clean place with clean restrooms and good folks who work here. We sell gas and fix cars, nothing glamorous, but we love what we do, and we're going to keep doing it for a long time to come. There's not many real service stations left, and that's a shame. We're the guys just like the guys back in your hometown. We'll fix your tire, change your oil, and put a new set of Michelins on your car. If you want a Twinkie, you'll just have to keep on going. Thanks for the business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I'm a king of rock. There is none higher.
Coach Lance is old enough to. No, he's screaming Rocky.
Oh, hey, Alexa, stop. She just plays it all the time. I'm not even asking her to do it. She just does it.
Again, you just say Rocky Top, Alexa, and there you're off and rolling. So, Coach Lance, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Dave. It's Friday. Tomorrow's a Big Orange victory down in Baton Rouge. So I'm feeling good. You guys looking good. Hey, look at my shirt. Look at that.
It says Hooker. I like that.
Hey,
I see you a large, but it looks like it's a little too big. Are you a medium guy?
I might be. I'm not a real big guy, but
Not a real big guy. Well, you're picking the healthy alternative. I used to be a really, really big guy, and you don't want to do that. It's bad for the ticker. Coach Lance, let's go ahead and get your thoughts before we get to a little bit of message board bingo.
Okay.
Your thoughts on Tennessee and LSU, how you see this thing shaking out.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's fire up the gumbo and get Garth Brooks because he's calling Baton Rouge, telling them that they're about to get hookered. Okay. And I wrote a little ditty from Coach Garth Brooks's song. You remember that song?
Baton Rouge, yes. Calling Baton Rouge, yeah.
Yeah, I changed the words. Hello, Samantha dear. I hope you're doing fine, and I hope those Bayou Bengals have a good defensive line because Hendon Hooker's coming down to score a half a dozen times. In Baton Rouge.
A lot of music on the show in honor of Loretta Lynn, who passed away yesterday. So we'll give a tip of the cap to her. Coach Lance, as far as I'm curious what you think about last names. My last name, the Tennessee quarterback's last name is Hooker. What's the better last name, Hooker or Boutte, as LSU wide receiver Keyshawn Boutte has?
Boutte. I was thinking Bobby Boucher, see, from the Water Boy. But Hooker is clearly the better last name. I mean, it's not even close.
It's not even
Depends on how you play. If you play like Boutte, then that's a problem. I've been around my husband too long. I'm sorry. He tells dad jokes, and it's rubbing off on me.
I like him.
Wait till you've been around your husband for your significant other for 30 years, which is about to happen for me. Then it's a whole nother level of been around somebody too long. God bless you, Shandon.
You've been married longer than Amanda's been alive, I bet.
No, I'm 36.
It's not. We haven't been married for 30 years. Our first date was 30 years ago in December.
Okay.
But same thing. I'm old. I think that's ultimately where it ends up, right? Is I'm old. All right, so let's play a little message board bingo.
All right.
And message board bingo is an opportunity for you to win stuffs, and you win stuffs by beating not me today. On Fridays, you have to beat Coach Lance. So Coach Lance we're going to give him 10 seconds to answer, and then if you can answer first, then we are going to hook you up with what today? How about we'll let you choose. And we'll let you choose between how about some craft treats, chill pills from craft treats. Trevor's like, let's go. Trevor dominates this thing. Trevor, I'm going to have to just exclude you from this fun game. But I won't exclude you.
I can't help that Trevor's better than you are.
What if they nicknamed Josh Heupel the pimp since he's got a hooker? Anybody ever thought about that yet?
I think about it every day, honestly. I don't know why we haven't taken that. Yes.
We both have T-shirts, Coach Lance, and both missed the boat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe having a coach say that the college quarterback works for him for money might be a.
Well, he does.
Yeah, but calling him his pimp. I feel like a racist card could come in there at some point.
Oh,
you know
I
what
didn't see that. I don't even.
Yeah.
I say stuff sometimes that people. I really don't. I guess it's because I spent as much of my professional time as around African Americans as white people that I didn't even think that.
I look at all aspects. I wouldn't say that it is. I'm not saying that it is. Good God, no. I think people get too offended by a lot of things, but I'm looking at all aspects here.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never been offended before in my life, not once. People have said some things about me too.
The one time I was offended, guys, like literally offended, was I was at Disney World and we went and saw the Smokey Bears show, and it was hey, let's go get us a drink out of the moonshine jug. And I'm like, I'm watching, and it was raining outside, so we didn't want to leave. And we watched the whole show. And I looked at my wife and I said, I think I know what it feels like to be a minority because I'm actually offended for the first time in my life. That is not a lie. And they
The
kept going,
Smokey Bear show at Disney.
yes, I hope they've shut it down. I almost wrote a letter. I kid you not. And then I realized I worked for ESPN, and that could be all kinds of trouble. So,
Oh yeah, no,
that could have been.
just let it roll right off. You know,
The Country Bears, Crazy says they stink. He didn't say stink, but they are absolutely horrible. I was offended by being called Barney Fife, but that was on a small level. I'm talking about mass. Okay. It is time for Message Board Bingo, and Message Board Bingo is brought to you by our friends at Owl's Nest Barbecue. Owl's Nest Barbecue, your home for all barbecue supplies. They've got the sauces, the rubs, and they got those awesome Green Mountain grills. If you don't have one, you're crazy right there in Ooltewah. Owl's Nest Barbecue. Here we go. Message Board Bingo.
All right. We don't hate them because they beat us on the field. That's just football. It's just a game. No, we hate them because of who they are. They are the scummiest, dumbest, least respectable fans in all of sports. But the vast majority of those donning their Dollar General purchased gear are truly the dregs of society, and they are visible, loud, and smell like vomit and excrement, much like the inhabitants of the streets of San Francisco. 85% of these fans are lousy human beings with no social value outside of the drug-infested streets of Armpit.
that
All
is
right.
the most
So, Coach Lance,
detailed description I've ever heard of a fan base. But we're trying to guess who said it, not who they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
as good as this bit is, if there's one Achilles heel, it's that Amanda can go a little bit long and get us confused. But I love you. I love you. I don't mean that in any sort of mean way. All right. Heart emoji. So Trevor's going with Bama. Is that correct? Orange is going with Florida. No. All right. Coach Lance, what are you going with?
Kentucky.
No.
The Dollar General is what got me on Kentucky. So
I don't know. Who is it, Amanda?
It's Auburn, and they're talking about Georgia.
Okay. Auburn, and they're talking about Georgia.
Talking
Okay.
about- really?
Let's
Yeah.
work in another one because we got to get to Jonathan Crompton here. So here we go. Here we go. Message board bingo.
All right. At this point, it's so hard to predict who our next coach will be now that annoying Wisconsin went and copied us again. It wasn't bad enough that they stole our identity on football, but now they fire their coach 2 weeks after we fire ours, and they're already going after the same coaches we are.
Okay. I'm glad Coach Lance on Fridays has to defend the crown. I have no earthly idea who this is.
Nebraska's the only thing Nebraska is what I'm thinking about, but I don't know.
It is Nebraska.
Okay. Orange. Okay. Orange Sea Lion. You can email me. You are the first to win. Everybody got that one except for me and Coach. Well, Coach Lance did get it. So email me and I will hook you up with your choice. We can go with the chill pills from Craft Treats, or we can go with a barbecue supply pack from Owl's Nest Barbecue. So how about that? All right, Coach Lance. So what have you got cracking? Anything new? I know you're just crushing on social media. You're a superstar waiting to happen. I call you the next Caucasian Eddie Murphy. You're that talented. Without the leather, you're just that good. So what do you got?
I've got leather pants.
Yuck.
Yeah.
All right. What do you
I'll
got?
wear them next time on the show. Amanda's like, please don't do that. So yeah, I got a video coming out later today. You're gonna love it. You may not know this, but I actually interviewed for the LSU head coach job last year before they hired their current coach, and so I'm going to release a video of that interview, and it's going to be real interesting.
I'm excited.
Stay tuned for that.
Tag me on the tweeter.
Will do. What you got there?
Oh, this is a bottle. Somebody asked me what bottle was behind me. It looks like
What is
Apple Jacks. It's something I used to make these, and it's a Green Bay Packers bottle. It's made out of Crown, and it's painted, and it's got lights in it. But it's Green Bay Packers. It's my husband's.
She had a lot of free time before she met me. Booze. She drinks during the show all the time.
It's just lights are inside it.
Coach Lance, I look forward to the video. You're a great man.
See you guys next time.
See you, buddy. We got to get to Jason
Bye.
Crompton, who scheduling mistake. Oh, he's wearing his orange. Jonathan, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Do you have a Hooker T-shirt yet?
I do not.
Oh,
Need one.
Yeah,
I need one. Trust me, I'll wear it all the time.
Okay, let me write down because it's not for me. It's the quarterback, right? That's why they sell so well. So
there you go.
And I can't get attacked by the university for licensing. So because it's my last name too.
There you go. Yeah. Look at the positives.
I got some stuff. So all right, what size are you? You look like an extra large.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you send me, and I'll get your mom one too. So just send me the sizes, and you've got my email, and I'll have them shipped out today. My wife loves shipping out shirts, by the way. That's her favorite thing.
Nice.
She doesn't. Jonathan Crompton, how do you see this matchup at Tennessee LSU? There's some specific questions I want to ask you about Hendon Hooker, but also want to ask you about Jaden Daniels of LSU.
Yeah.
But how do you see this matchup going?
I mean, well, preseason wise, I predicted us winning, and I'm still going to go with that. I'm not sold on LSU yet. I'm just cut straight to the chase. I don't know. They don't throw the ball very well. They really don't, or at least as of yet. And I would, if it were me, I would do what we did to Florida and say, well, you don't throw the ball very well. We're going to stop the run and the quarterback run. And if you throw for 300 yards, that's fine, but you got to prove that you can do it. Because I don't think they can as of yet. I really don't. I don't think they've fully bought into Chip Kelly's system. Just looking at it. Now, do they have a lot of talented players? 100%.
Right, Kelly, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. But they've got talented players, but I don't think that they're clicking yet. And it also, I look a little deeper. I'm wondering at LSU, when do they ever play at noon at home?
You know what's funny about that is, yeah, it's very weird. They actually are 8-0, but you have to in their last 8 games. But you have to factor in, John, they're playing lesser opponents. So the fact that this game slipped to the noon slot is unusual, and I think helps Tennessee.
Well, no, I do too. It's just it's odd to me. It's normally at 7 o'clock. Let every LSU fan go do their extracurricular activities before the game, all that stuff, and get ready for the game. So the noon game, I think, definitely helps us. And I know everybody's going to be worried about me talking about for them throwing for 300 yards, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Until they prove they can do it, they can't do it. Same thing with Florida. Dude had no touchdown passes, Richardson. So make him throw the ball, all right? You got to pick your poison in the game plan. So I really think that if it's me and I'm a defensive coordinator against them, I'm crowding the box. I'm going to stop the run, and I'm going to say, guys outside, you got to man up one-on-one. Just don't give up the big play. And that would be, like I said, that would be what I would do, because they have not proven that they can consistently throw the ball and move the ball up and down the field to win games.
I agree. And Jaden Daniels, I thought Brian Kelly, and I noticed this before, didn't really force the ball down the field a lot. And then Brian Kelly actually said so, that he needs to be more aggressive. That's kind of the opposite of most quarterbacks. Most quarterbacks want to throw it downfield, and you hear coaches say, protect the ball, protect the ball, protect the ball. But he's saying, hey, dude, let it go. Have you been around or coached any of the players in your camps that maybe you're like, you're being a little too conservative?
Yeah, and I'm not saying this is for Daniels at LSU, because I don't know him. But from my experience with that, it's typically guys that are afraid to make a mistake. They don't want to mess up. They just want to be, quote unquote, perfect. Well, man, football's not perfect, right? You got to be efficient, but you got to take what's there. Sometimes the deep ball is what is there. It's not always, obviously. But I don't think that they do a good enough job of that. I really don't. And I don't think they've played phenomenal teams yet either. Florida State's probably the best team that they've played. But I don't think their strength of schedule at this moment is what we're used to LSU having, or, with their opponents. Auburn is not Let's call a spade here. Auburn's not very good, right?
No.
So I mean, it's not like the typical LSU Auburn matchup last week.
Let me ask you a question, John, because I've talked to Lane Kiffin. I know what you went through. I thought there was a period of time you were afraid to make a mistake. Can you?
And that wasn't because of Kiffin. That was because of the previous people.
Right. Yes.
There was a lot of negativity around the program then.
Right. So, was there a time that you were?
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, we're all human.
Yeah.
It goes, and a lot of that is it's a 51-49% on who it's on, depending on how you want to do it with ratios. But the coaches have a lot more impact on players than people think as far as the mental state. There's a lot of stuff I can't say from behind closed doors that would go on. But you got to have a coach that is, and I give Kelly credit for saying we got to push the ball downfield more, and letting him know, hey man, it's okay to take a chance. Sometimes your dude's got to make a play too. You know what I mean? Whoever it is out wide. So yeah, I mean there's always going to be those times. It's just a matter of, does your coach have your back or does he not? And if he doesn't have your back, trust me, it ain't fun to try to make that play, because then you're going, well, crap, I'm going to get thrown under the bus this game if it doesn't work. If I'm scrambling and trying to make a play, blah blah blah. You know, there's a lot of things that go into the game. And at least it shows in the media that Kelly is going to have Daniel's back, but I really just don't think he's the quarterback that can beat us.
I agree with both of those points. And John, I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable situation, but I don't think that you had the backing of.
No, it's not uncomfortable. I didn't.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So what did Lane Kiffin do to get your confidence back?
Tell you to go be yourself, right? And it takes time, but you got to earn trust on both sides. It's not a one-way street, right? And he's got to the coach has to let the players know, be yourself, go make the play. If it's a mistake, we'll learn from it. We won't let it happen again, but we will learn from it, instead of screaming and yelling and all that, whatever you want to say, and never actually being taught, right? Because a mistake is not a bad thing. And this is what I teach the kids. Failure is not a bad thing if we learn to fail properly. And that goes for any aspect, not just football, but any aspect of life. Because the reality is we're human. We're not all going to be perfect, right? But if we learn from said mistake or said failure, we can learn how not to do that again. And that was a positive mistake. But if you keep doing the same thing over and over, well, that's the definition of insanity, right? That's where you're not getting better. And I feel like that's where those quote unquote mistakes were never fixed, where the same play was called the same times throughout the whole career, and the same batted ball or interception or whatever was happening, because it wasn't, hey, how do we correct this? How can we change our read? It was, well, you got to throw the ball here. All right. And that's, a kind of a short answer to what really goes into it.
It was, I know, Amanda, you want to jump in here, and please do so. I've got one more with John, who I know has to run. But John, you obviously, that Georgia game, everybody saw that your confidence was back. It was back on public display, but it probably happened before then at some point. At what point in the season did you feel like, all right, I trust this guy. I trust Lane has my back. I'm able to go out there and fling it without fear of repercussion?
After the UCLA game, when I clearly made a bonehead play, like just one of those that, but once again, sometimes things happen. They're allowed to game plan too. So the play it was sluggo seam, which is slant and go with a seam and a hitch. And I was like, ooh, they play cover 3. Slant and go is not bad, but the seam's great. Play cover 2, sluggo's awful, seam's great. If they play cover 4, neither the slug or the seam's great, throw the hitch. And I was like, okay, hey, they're in cover 4. I'm throwing the hitch. Corner baited me, played cover 6, which is 4 and 2 combined. He jumped the hitch, pick. And I was like, ooh. He got me. You know what I mean? Like sometimes things happen. So we go to the media, and normally Lane went last, and he goes, "Hey, I'm going first." I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." Go in there, and straight up says, "Whoever asks about said interception will never be allowed in here again. We're not doing that. That was my fault. I should have done a better job as a coach, play calling, to understand they were going to play that coverage on that part of the field, blah, blah, blah." Comes off and he goes, "Hey, man, you know you messed up. We're going to learn from it tomorrow. Don't do it again. We'll correct and figure out the tips on how that is, blah, 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 and you won't be asked about that question." I said, "Oh, never had that before," right? Once again, we both knew it was my fault. Hell, the whole team knew, because an interception that's a ball is tipped up, blah, 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 you can't, whatever. But it was blatantly my fault. And at that point, I was like, damn, like this dude really does. He doesn't care about his media public perception. He cares about what the guys inside that locker room doors care about him and what we think about him. At that moment, we were like, okay. But we had a lot of injuries, so it still took a little while to get some receivers back. But at that moment, everybody, and it wasn't just me, but everybody was like, damn, this dude, he really does have our back. He really is going to take that bullet in the media, right? So I would say that would probably be the best definition of when any player, but specifically myself, learned that we should be able to fully trust him.
Didn't you throw the ball 42 times in that game?
I have no idea.
I thought
I'm going to trust you on that because
I'll look it up, but I thought that showed a lot of trust. Just the fact that you would have a game plan to throw it 42 times. I'm sorry, Amanda. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. So I always start with what do you think it will take for looking at this offense, looking at Hendon Hooker, looking at these wide receivers, and we know they're way more dynamic, obviously, than LSU's offense. What do you think it will take for LSU to be able to stop that? Like, what would they need to target? And do you think that's even possible?
LSU needs to score 60. Right. And that's just, and I'm saying like just in general, because I think it's with our pace, I don't think it's hard for anybody to beat us points wise unless we beat ourselves. So like LSU in general, offensively, they got to be able to throw the ball, and they got to be able to score throwing the ball. Like straight up. I don't know if they can do that. And then for LSU on the defensive side, they've got to be able to get us 3 and out 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a row. I just, like I said, last year I wouldn't have said this. I think we're too deep for LSU. Last year I'd have been like, man, we don't have any depth. And I said that publicly. They've done a great job in recruiting. So I think, especially at our wide receiver core, we got some guys that can roll in and roll out. And I don't think LSU can handle that. And once again, I don't think LSU can throw the ball to beat us. I think we outman them personally, just top to bottom, which it's kind of good to say because I would never have said that last year.
Hadn't been said in a long time.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it feels good to actually say that again. I think LSU is set up for failure this week, and I hope I'm not wrong when I say that.
John, great stuff. I appreciate you making the time. I know you're going to coach and mentor the youth in the future of football, and it's a fantastic endeavor. We're going to hear more about that as you go along. But John, certainly appreciate it. And again, I'll text you and get the sizes for those shirts, and we'll get them out.
Sweet, I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Best to you and your family.
Thanks. You'll have a good one.
I appreciate it. And a couple of people said on the message board just now, man, it's making me like Lane Kiffin or respect Lane Kiffin a little bit more. Well, we didn't just write a full biography of Lane Kiffin, so everybody has their goods and bads. But if not for Lane Kiffin, maybe another coach would have done it with a coaching change. But if not for Lane Kiffin, Jonathan Crompton is not remembered nearly as fondly as he is, because Lane Kiffin did exactly that. And I'll share another story with you that I was told, and that was Lane Kiffin basically went to Jonathan Crompton, and Jonathan did not have the backing of the previous Tennessee coaches. They wanted to go in a different direction. I think you probably remember B.J. Coleman's name. There were a lot of guys in that coaching staff that thought that they wanted to go in a different direction. I could get into the various whys, who's, and whats, but it didn't have anything to do with his ability. But I know that Lane Kiffin went to him when he first got the job, and one of the first things he did is he went to Jonathan and he said, "What happened?" He said, "You're not the same guy that I saw coming out of high school. You're not that same guy. And that's the guy that I want to get back." And it took a lot of time. And that senior year was not rosy. You mentioned the UCLA game. It took until basically the Georgia game before he showed publicly that he had arrived, even though I think his confidence arrived before that, as he just alluded to. So, yeah, I mean, everybody's got their good and bad. Lane absolutely deserves credit for getting the most out of that 2009 team that he could have gotten, because he had a real quarterback issue on his hands when he arrived. He had one talented guy with a bruised ego and a confidence issue, and Jonathan would tell you that just did. And it would have been the easiest thing to do. And I wondered if that was what he should do. I'll be real honest with you, even though, I'm close to Jonathan. Amanda, the easiest thing to do would have been to go with the guy from Chattanooga, who I know that the coaches liked a lot. One coach pulled me inside and told me how much he liked him, and there was a reason he told me that. It's because that's what he wanted the messaging to be publicly. It would have been easy to go with B.J. Coleman. And B.J. Coleman was upset, and a lot of fans were upset because they didn't believe in Crompton at the time. And then B.J., which was very out of character, spoke publicly about the fact that he wasn't going to be the starter and immediately transferred. I think B.J.'s a great guy. I think he made some rash comments afterwards. But who wouldn't, thinking that you're going to be the starter and when things change and Lane Kiffin comes in. But ultimately, Amanda, you have to give credit, a lot of credit, for what Lane Kiffin did with that 2019, because that whole team, talk about culture, was in disarray. So we talk about year two of changing culture. He did it midway through the first year, which I thought was pretty phenomenal.
There's a lot of good to Lane Kiffin, as far as it goes. I know he left a bad taste in Tennessee fans, mouths and stuff. And the NCAA sanctions definitely didn't help with that. Don't get me wrong. But he took the job that was his dream job. I mean, he took the job at USC, and he did give a press conference. He did tell his players. I know he promised a lot of things to Tennessee, but every coach does that. Unfortunately, every coach does that. And it's with Lane, I know, as when he was at Alabama, the offensive genius of him is incredible to me. Now, defensively, he couldn't tell you anything, but offensively, he has that kind of skill set that you want in a coach. I think Heupel has that as well offensively. I think Heupel might be even a little bit more of kind of the genius, because Lane's done it with talent. Heupel's done it without it at UCF, as we've seen. And we've seen how far he's taken this Tennessee team this season. But Lane still has a lot of good as far as coaching goes. Yes, he has some pretty bad character traits sometimes, Joey Freshwater. But on the field and with the players, it seems like he is a much better and more, charismatic figure than he is with the media. And that says a lot. Saban's the same way. You have, players that'll play for Saban, and in the media, Saban's just shutting them down left, right, and center. Lane's pretty much the same. So
remember this about that 2019. Okay, and this is back when my one criticism of Nick Saban, I believe, was warranted. I thought he took his foot off the gas pedal in the second half a little too early. And I still believe that's warranted. And it almost cost him against Tennessee that year. You're talking about a Tennessee team that would have, if not for field goal kicking issues and Lane's decision, which was curious not to try to get a few more yards in that final kick, and a guy named Mount Cody that blocked 2 field goals in that game.
Hit him in the chest.
Yeah.
That last one hit him in the chest.
Right. So, but if not for but he dominated. It was flat.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. There were all kinds of problems with that field goal. And Lane should have tried to pick up about 10 more yards because there were 12 seconds left and he let it run down to 2. Nevertheless, you're talking about a team that almost beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa and pounded Georgia. I mean, that's for year one, that's pretty good. And I'm not saying that Lane would have gone on to great success. I think there are all kinds of potential pitfalls. Maybe shoulda, coulda, woulda. But as far as having his players back and being an offensive mind, he's right up at the top. Final predictions, score predictions for the Tennessee LSU game. I'm absolutely awful at this, but I'm going to say that Tennessee wins. I'm going to say 37-26. 37-26. So I think that LSU moves the ball, but I think they stall at times in the red zone and they end up kicking field goals. So 37-26. Brittany has Tennessee 31-17 over LSU. Spencer has 34-28. Brandon has 45-24. Amanda, what say you?
42-27, Tennessee.
42-27. So we're pretty close. We're only about 5-6 points off. So combined. So, all right, guys, fantastic interaction. We love it. We were with you each and every weekday at 8:30. We'll be with you after the games. Go ahead and set the reminder on your phone. We'll be talking to you following the game, what might be a huge, monstrous Tennessee win. Go to offthehooksports.com because this is what this was intended to do. My interaction with you and Jonathan and Amanda creates story ideas for me. Then we put it on there. And then sometimes stuff I put there comes here. And that's what it's all supposed to do. And it's doing that. So we appreciate your support. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And Amanda the Muse, and I will see you on Monday. This is a presentation